Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special episode of The Numbers. Philip is with me, as always. It is our over-under episode. It is our third annual competition. And Philip, I'm really excited about this. This is probably my favorite thing to do all year.
I have to say, I'm surprised how anxious I was to do this one. And also, I must say, Eric, I'm also anxious to revisit what we said last year because we say a lot of things and stuff goes by, and it's a year ago. I don't remember, and I see your smile right now, and I feel like you'll have some good news for yourself. The year one of the over-under ended in a tie because I don't count the hockey stuff. The hockey stuff is fun, but we're talking politics here. So I don't know whether I won or you did last year. And I have some good ones for us this year. We have 3 elections scheduled in 2024. And so, of course, we'll talk about those. But let's start with how we fared in last year's over-under. Why don't you go through it? Yes.
So the basic premise is that we give each other a line, sort of like a betting line, and we have to say whether we think it'll be over or under. In some cases, it's a true or false kind of question. We did this last year over the holidays. So I guess it was 12 months ago-ish, and we were predicting what was going to happen in 2023. We had to make calls. It didn't mean that we truly believed in them, but we had to. We were up against it. So we will go over it in 2022. So I did go back and I looked at how we did.
And just before you start here, I also want to warn, this is a much lighter episode. So you can take our word for it and then laugh at us if we missed, but we're having a lot of fun here. This is a lighter episode, a holiday episode. So please, everybody, take it easy on us if we're wrong, okay?
Yeah, and sometimes because I rewatched our episode from last year, and sometimes one of us just chose the opposite just to be a little bit more interesting. So if I lose, that's what it was.
There you go.
So we'll start with the federal, what we said. So the first one we did was whether the Liberal NDP confidence and supply agreement would hold throughout the year. You said it would. I said it wouldn't. It obviously did. So 1 point for Philip.
Okay.
We had this one I think is actually really funny. We had an over-under of whether the Conservatives would score more than 40% in the polls.
Wow.
You said under, I said over. I said we would probably get some poll that had it, so I tied it up there.
I think there are some.
Whether the Liberals would...
Yep.
We had whether the Liberals would get over 35.5% in your average. So the average that was on 338canada.com. I said they wouldn't.
Yeah.
You said they would.
Oh, God. Ew.
Yeah.
Eric takes the lead. Okay.
Yeah. We then took it to Quebec. We said whether again in the 338 Canada average, the Conservatives would get over 25%.
Oh, my God.
I looked at it. As far as I could tell, because it's more of a graphic, so I had to kind of estimate it. They very closely got up to 23 or 24% at some point recently. But we both chose the under, that they wouldn't reach 25%, which they didn't in Quebec. Elections in 2023, I put the line at 0.5. We both said under. There
And we're both right.
Federal elections in 2023. And to close the federal section, we said how many by-elections would there be? We put the line at 3.5 by-elections. We both chose the over. There were 5 by-elections, federal by-elections: Calgary Heritage, Winnipeg South Centre, Portage-Lisgar, Oxford, and Notre-Dame-de-Grâce Westmount. At the end of the federal section, Philippe, I was ahead with 5, and you had 4 points. How do you feel going in?
We did pretty well there because we were mostly right. And there could have been even more by-elections because Durham still hasn't been called. Interesting. Yep. Okay, so you're leading 5-4 after the federal. I think I did pretty well in the provincial elections, but okay, you go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so now we're going to Alberta. Now, let's put some context here. In late December...
Bad sign for Eric here. I want to explain why I was wrong about Alberta. Okay, go ahead.
In December of 2022, when we did this,
Yep.
The NDP was ahead in the polls. The UCP was well behind. Okay, so you put the number of seats the NDP would win at 43.5, which meant whether they would win a majority or not. You chose the under. I chose the over. They won 38 seats. Philip got a point there. We put the line at turnout
Oh,
at 68%.
Oh, that's
68%.
that's
We
too
both
high.
chose the over. Do you know what the turnout was?
Say a low 60s, I think. What was it there?
59.5.
Oh,
59.5.
Wow.
So we both were wrong on that one. All right.
Okay.
We then chose the NDP share of the vote at 44%.
Oh, that's so
They ended up
close.
getting 44.1. And we both chose the over. So we both got a point there. We then had, as your cat tail like a shark goes across the screen, if you're watching this, we then said the number of seats the UCP would win in Edmonton. We put the line at 0.5.
Oh.
You chose the under. I chose the over. They won 0. So you got a point there. And then finally, we said the NDP number of seats in Calgary. You ended up starting with the line at, I think, 11.5, and I was too confident, so you bumped it up.
Yeah.
So we put the line at 16.5. You chose the under. I chose the over. They won 14.
Yeah.
This was a rough patch for me. After the Alberta section, you were ahead by 8-6.
Okay. All right. I remember that I did well in Alberta, and that Calgary thing. It ended up higher. Did you say it was 14? I thought it was 15.
Yeah.
Okay. That line was pretty good in the end, but
Yeah, and the line at the NDP vote at 44, that was pretty good. They got 44.1. Okay,
right.
Manitoba. Obviously, Wabkanoos, New Democrats, won a majority government there. We'd put the line for NDP seats at 31.5. You chose the over. I chose the under. I said it would be like a minority or something. It ended up being 34 seats. We then put the line for the NDP share of the vote, again, at 44%.
Oh.
We both chose the over. It was 45.6%. We were both good on that. And then we put the line for the Liberal share of the vote at 15%. You chose the under. I chose the over. It was under at 10.6. You are now in a commanding position with a lead of 11-7. And we're going only a few seconds
thank you,
left.
provinces. Okay, all right.
PI. This
Oh,
did not
God.
go well for us.
No,
we only
no.
did 2. Dennis King's PCs won a pretty solid majority government. We put the line for the PCs at 19.5 seats. We both chose the over, and they got 22, which obviously was correct. We then put the line for the number of Green seats at 4.5. We were confident that the Greens would do pretty well. We both chose over. They only won 2 seats.
2 seats, right? Okay.
And we were both wrong, so we still got this gap of 4 points, 12-8 in your favor. Now we got into the kind of the wild card, anything goes section.
Okay.
Now, if you remember in 2022, there was a by-election where there had been a lot of candidates.
Right.
So I said,
right.
in a by-election, what would be the by-election, the federal by-election, with the most candidates? And I set the line at 40. You chose the under. I chose the over. They tried it again, Winnipeg South Centre. Do you remember how many candidates there were?
Oh, I don't. There was a lot. I remember the ballot. Was it over 40?
It was 48.
Wow.
48 candidates. So I got the over there. We had one about the Quebec leadership, Quebec Liberal leadership, if it went forward in this year, but it didn't, so we'll skip that one. We then had a few yes or no. One was whether the Liberals, the Quebec Liberals, would win the Saint-Henri-Sainte-Anne by-election. You said no, and I said yes. Actually, no, it was the opposite.
What?
No, yes,
no,
that's
no,
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
You said no. I was
Yeah.
thinking whether Quebec Solidaire would win. You
Right.
said no. I said yes. So you got a point there. We then had how many premiers would be defeated or resigned in 2022? 2.5.
And it was under, right? No, I mean, hang on. Is Mr. Organ had already resigned, or no?
He already had, yeah.
Okay, so it's under, huh?
You chose the under. I chose the over. It ended up just being one, and that
Stephenson.
was Heather Stephenson in Manitoba. And then we had whether Trump and Joe Biden would still be actively running for the presidential nominations for their parties. You said yes. I said no. I said one of them would probably back out. Obviously, they're both still in it. And then we had one last question, which was the fun one, and we're going to keep it in here in terms of the points. Whether the Toronto Maple Leafs would make the second round of the NHL playoffs in 2023.
And they did.
They did. You, of course, had no faith. I also don't like the Maple Leafs, but I had faith. And they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, but they lost to the Florida Panthers. So, drum roll. 15-10, pretty easy victory for Philippe J. Fournier. Congratulations to
Merci.
Philippe. He
Merci.
wins the second edition of the over-under competition, and it was a pretty shameful performance by myself. So
But you were leading after the federal. It's the provinces that got to you, huh? Okay.
yeah, the provinces really, yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, thing
Are
is,
you ready now for
do what-
2023?
So I get the bragging rights, right? Basically,
Yeah,
every
you don't win
episode or
anything
so.
else. No, there's nothing else.
Basically, every episode I can say, hey, remember that over-under in 2022? My goodness, did I do well. No, I'm kidding. I won't do that. But, okay.
All right.
So a win and a tie for me in the over-unders. You're ready for your revenge. So this is it right now.
Yeah.
You have to catch up.
It will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we don't want to get to a state where you're winning 4 in a row and a dynasty has been established. We do not want that. Okay. So what we're going to do, as we did in the last ones, we're going to set some lines. We're going to choose the over-under on them. We're going to try to explain our thinking about it. We're going to start with the federal. We'll go through some of the provinces, and then we have our last little anything goes category. Why don't we start in the federal? Why don't you go first?
Okay. Thing is, I may come up with new ones. I have 4 right now for the federal. Of course, there's not supposed to be an election this year, and so we can't just go, oh, how many seats here and there, right? Perhaps we'll have some conditional. So my first one would be, okay, what will be the best poll from a recognized professional pollster for the Liberals in 2024? Now, we know that the Liberals have gone down in 2023, as low as, I think the lowest I saw was 22% in a Nanos poll. Abacus at 23. A little bump last week. We'll see if Nanos goes up as well. But in 2024, what will be the best poll for the Liberals from a recognized pollster? And I put the line. I'm still hesitating on that line. I put the line at 29.5.
I would choose the over. I think that there will be, at some point, some sort of rebound that a poll will have them at 30, 31, maybe 32 at some point during the year. So I will choose the over on 29.5 for the best Liberal poll.
Okay. Thing is, me too. Maybe that line is too low. I wanted to catch you there. Okay, sometimes Eric and I will agree on an over-under and we'll just move on. And sometimes if we agree too much, we'll change the line. I don't want to change that line because I think it's a good one. I'll also go with the over, but barely. I don't expect a 35. I think that you're looking at the numbers of satisfaction of the government, the numbers of Justin Trudeau. I don't think it will go up that much, but one poll at 30 or over, I will say yes, over for me too. Okay.
All right. So this one, I'm again using your projection. So
Okay.
I'm counting on your good faith not to
Absolutely.
put your thumb on the scale in order to win this one. So I'm putting I'm talking about the smallest gap we see between the Liberals and the Conservatives in your averages at one point during the year. I'm going to put the line at 8.5.
Okay, so the gap between the Liberals and Conservatives at 8.5?
Yeah, the smallest
smallest.
it gets. Yeah.
Hang on here. So you think that the in the average.
Yeah.
Okay, right now I believe I have 14 points in the average. 8.5. Considering also that I round my numbers, right? I mean, the numbers with the digits, they are on the site, but on the main page, I always round the numbers because there's uncertainty. If there's a Liberal rebound, could the average go to like 30 to 38? At some point during the year. That's a good one, Eric. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go under. I think it will tighten up, and that's a pretty good line. Had you said like 5 points, I don't think so. 8.5. I'm gonna go under. What about you?
Okay. Just to give myself a chance to win a point, I'm going to take the over that the smallest gap will end up being like 8.7 or 9 points. And that's as close as it gets in 2024. All right. How about you go next?
Okay. This one is a risky one. I know it's early for the risky ones, but okay. Including interims. What's the number of different prime ministers we will have in 2024? And I'm putting the line at 0.5.
Different, you mean other than Trudeau?
That's right.
Then I guess I'm going to choose the under. I think he'll still be prime minister by the end of the year.
When we do this episode next year, next December, Trudeau will have been prime minister all year and will have stayed. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The thing is, I kind of agree, but there's also a part of me that goes, as adamant as Mr. Trudeau has been that he's going to stay until the next election, at some point, if the numbers are so bad, it's not going to be his call. And so I'm going to go on a limb and take a risk here because, since I crushed you last year, I can take some risk here. It's okay. I'm going to go with over. I think at some point we will have a different prime minister than Justin Trudeau in 2024. It's a risk, I know. The odds are not in my favor, but if I get this, I'll look like a genius 12 months from now. So,
Yeah. But if you don't get it, then you won't look like a genius.
No, I won't. That would be it's a day that ends in Y. So, okay.
Okay, this is more of a yes or no one.
Okay.
All right. And again, we're gonna use recognized pollster as
Right.
whatever we're defining that. And I think we both know what that means, so we'll
Yes.
just go on that. Yes or no? 2 different pollsters will show the NDP ahead of the Liberals at some point this year. So it's not a fluke poll. It's 2 different pollsters.
Yeah.
Not 2 different polls, 2 different pollsters.
So if it happens twice in the nanos roller, it's what? That's one.
Doesn't count.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, it counts as
it would be
one.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't think so. I don't see it. I don't see why. The thing is, when the NDP got close to the Liberals, the NDP hadn't moved, right? It's the Liberals that went down.
Yeah.
And, even though I think many Liberal supporters are extremely disappointed with their government right now and they're not happy, clearly the numbers say that, it's not like they're flocking to Mr. Singh, and Mr. Singh has not been as effective as one would expect from an NDP leader with an unpopular Liberal prime minister. So I'm going to say no.
I think I'm going to play the odds and say yes.
Oh.
Because we have seen some polls where it is a few points between them, and so you just need a margin of error kind
That's
of
right.
issue, and just with the statistical variation. So I think that over the next 12 months, we could get 2 different pollsters who have the NDP ahead of the Liberals. So I will take yes on that one.
Do we round to the closest percentage point? Because Nanos shows 2 decimals, which is insane for me with a poll that has a margin of error of more than 3%. If it's 22.001, whatever it is, do we round to the closest percentage point? Just to make it clear.
I'm going to say that no, we're going to take the decimals
Okay.
too.
Okay,
Because
all right.
You know what? If it ends up being at some point 22.3 for the Liberals and 22.4 for the NDP, the NDP is going to talk about how they finished second in the poll. They're not going
That's right. They absolutely will.
to. So we'll do the same thing. All right. Do you have any more? I have a few more
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
federal.
I would like for you to guess the number of resignations from Liberal MPs in 2024. So Liberal MPs who decide to, you know what, I'm going to do something else with my life, I'm going to leave. Not necessarily the bye-elections, because that's 6 months later. The number of resignations of Liberal
So
MPs.
official resignation, they vacate their seat, not that they
That's right.
announce that they're resigning. Okay.
That's right. This is a tough line to put because it could be as much as 5 or it could be as low as 0. So we don't know. But since this is 2024 will be, in any scenario, a pre-election year. A pre-election year. So it could happen. I'm going to put the line at 1.5 because I think it could be low, but it's not going to be 0.
I think that it will. I will take the over Not because I think a lot of people, Liberals are going to resign, but I think that as we get closer to the election, there will inevitably be some people who resign. There's not really provincial elections where I see a lot of Liberals stepping aside. There's not that many coming up for them. But I will take the over, even though I don't think it'll be very much. Because I think most of the people who will resign, because they're not running in the next election, will probably do it in early 2025 rather than in late 2024. So that I will take the over on that.
Just in a point of order here, point of correction here. If there is a federal election and candidates are not running again, that's not a resignation. No, that's just not running again. I wanted to catch you here. I didn't. My line was too low. Yeah, I did. I tried to catch you, but you didn't bite. I'll go with the over as well. I know this sucks. We have the same call, but I'll go with the over as well. 1.5 is low. So, all right.
Okay.
What do you have?
So, just before the House adjourned, Carolyn Bennett resigned.
That's
so
right.
there will be a by-election in Toronto St. Paul's at some point.
Right.
The lowest score that Carolyn Bennett got in that riding was in 2011. She got 40.6% of the vote. So I'm going to put the line for the Liberal share of the vote for the Liberal candidate at 40.6. Will you take the over or the under?
The election has to be between now and like late June, right?
Yeah.
So
it has to be called. It could be held in July.
Yeah. You would think that they would do Durham and Toronto St. Paul's at the same time. They don't have to, but you would think that they would. So maybe it's going to be the spring. 40.6 for the Liberal vote in Toronto St. Paul. I have to take the over. I know it. The Liberals are down in the polls right now. It's just such a good riding for the Liberals. I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the over as well because they've actually. I was curious, which I thought you were going to take the under, but they have done well in by-elections. Their vote has held up.
They have
where they have support, so that's why I'm going to take the over on that. I've got two more. Do you got any for the federal?
You know what? Go ahead. Go ahead. I have another one, but it could wait.
Okay, we'll do another one with the by-election. Durham is going to be another one that we know is going to happen. Aaron O'Toole got 46% of the vote in the 2021 election. If I put the over-under for the Conservative vote share at 55, will you take the over or the under?
55, huh? O'Toole had 46. I don't have the results in front of me. Do you? What did the other?
Just that he got 46. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't have in front of me how everyone else did, but yeah.
55%. That's a high line. And again, I'm tempted to go with the over. It's just as you said, and we have seen in 2023, Liberals do get their vote out in by-elections. You know, they even got close in Oxford. I know there was a context there, but still.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a tough line, my friend. I will take the over 55. I will. It's a high bar, but I think they're gonna get it.
Okay. Again, I thought you were going to take the under on that one.
You don't play the quiz. You play the quiz master. You do the same thing during the quizzes.
I was going to take the over because we have seen that the Conservatives, when they are in a strong riding, they can do really well.
Yeah, that's true.
We saw that in Portage, but you took the over. I'll take the under. Maybe they just get 54.4 or 54.9 or something like that. But I will take the under.
Now that would be the funny outcome. 54.98 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't round to 2 decimal points because that's nuts. Anyway.
All right. Here's a boring one for you, but a very straightforward one. Number of federal elections in 2024. We did that last year. We can't not do it this year.
Yeah.
0.5.
0.5
over under. Yep. Well, there's going to be 2.
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to well, there could be 2.
Could.
But I will choose the under. I will choose the under. I think that maybe like spring of 2025 makes a lot of sense. Fall on the budget. The NDP can defeat the government without much risk at that point if they want to. There's more reason for it to happen in 2025. There's a potential that the Liberals might try to time it with the U.S. presidential election to try to coast a little bit off of that, but that feels risky to me, so I'm going to say 0. I'm going to say under for federal elections in 2024.
I will say under as well, but I will put a bémol here. It's either 24 or 25, right? We're down to the last 2 years where a federal election can happen. It's not like outrageously impossible that it happens this year. I mean, the context is so that it could happen this year. There's what are the odds? It's not like 1%. It could be like 15 to 20%. It could be a dice roll. But, this is you and I are play to win, and so we have to be serious about this. And if I'm not going to take a 50% shot on a dice roll. So I think it could happen this year, but I'm going to take the under as well. So 0 federal elections this year.
Okay. We will see. All right, let's move to the ones where we do know there's going to be some elections. How about we start with British Columbia?
All right, I was going to wonder.
David Eby and the New Democrats looking for re-election. That'll be Eby's first election as leader of the party since John Horgan stepped aside. What do you have for BC?
Okay. Thing is, of course, we will get to the number of seats and vote share, but there's another one that's pre-election that I'd like to try with you. So, okay. 2 members of the BC legislature crossed the floor from the Liberals United to the Conservatives. And I know that you saw the latest poll that came from Angus Reid, 25% Conservative, 20% United, and of course the NDP first place at 42. If those polls keep happening throughout 2024, before the election is in October, I think we could see more floor crossers. Some Uniteds that feel that their seat is in danger, that they agree more with Mr. Rustad than Mr. Falcon. It could be very tempting. So the number of floor crossers in the BC legislature from the Uniteds to the Conservatives. Now, the line now. I'm going to set it at 1.5. So will there be 2 more that will, or 2 or more, that will cross the floor before the election?
And there's not that many BC United MLAs to begin with, right? There must be...
There's like 30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've already lost 2. Some of them are going to run again. If you had put the line at 0.5, I would have chose the over. But 1.5.
So you think there's going to be 1, basically?
I think the odds are... I think it seems likely there'll be more than 1 because there had been chatter that there was going to be more than just these 2, right? Yeah. So I'm going to choose the over. I bet you there will be a few more between now and Election Day.
Damn. Me too. I wanted you to take the under so much. Should we move the line here, or do we agree on a tie here? Because I think it's going to be over 2.
2 would be, in the context of it, 2 would still be a lot, right?
Yeah. So, absolutely. Well, the Conservatives suddenly would go from 2 to 4. I mean, it's significant. Yeah. Let's both agree on over, and perhaps we'll be wrong. But also, the polls for the BC Conservatives, I still have doubts, but we'll get to that. Okay. What do you have for BC?
All right, well, let's go to the actual election results. So The New Democrats won 57 seats in the last election. The legislature is growing by 6, I believe. They're up to 93.
Yeah, 93 seats.
So if I put the line for the BC New Democrats at 69.5, so that suggests that they're benefiting a lot from a split in the vote because their polling numbers are not that much better. And in a lot of cases, they're worse than they were last time. But I'm going to put the line at 69.5, which would be a big win.
Oh yeah.
But with the context of the split, I think the line's reasonable.
Right now, my projection, and I still haven't updated to the new map, and I will during the holidays. I was just waiting for the holidays to happen. I'm going to do the same thing for our listeners. I'm going to switch the federal map as well during the holidays, and the Saskatchewan map as well. 69.5. We have to, in your scenario here, you assume that basically the Conservatives and Uniteds completely split the vote. Like They don't.
Well,
there
I'm
are no,
assuming that if you
there's-
choose the over.
Well, the thing is, even if it's 68 seats, that's a high bar. It's just also it's you would think that they would get. I'm tempted to go over because right now I have 75 seats in the current map, and I think the BC NDP will be really hard to dislodge in Vancouver, in much of Fraser Valley, in Vancouver Island. 69 point. I have to take the over. Perhaps I'll look like a fool next year, but I'm taking the over.
I'm going to take the under because I
Oh.
think that voters will sort themselves out between now and Election Day. And again, maybe we'll be wrong in this, but that one of those parties to the right will get most of the vote and maybe in the right places. Maybe the Uniteds do better in the Lower Mainland and the Conservatives in the interior. And so the NDP makes some gains despite losing some votes. But I'm going to guess that their gains are relatively modest. And so that I will take the under on 69.5 for NDP seats.
Again, the provinces will be the demise of Eric in this game. But, okay. Here's a very simple one about the BC Conservatives. So before the 2020 election, in some polls, not all, in some polls, the BC Conservatives were doing in double digits. Were doing well in some polls. Sometimes they got 9% and 8%, and they ended up with 2% of the vote. There were some other polling firms, like the local one, Research Co., that had the Conservatives at 2%. So how real is this Conservative rise, Mr. Rostad leading the Conservatives? As we said, if I just check the tables, the latest polls, Angus Street 25, Abacus Data 26, Angus Street 21, Léger 25, Research Co 19. What will be the vote share of the BC Conservatives in the election? And knowing this, polls change all the time. We are 10 months ahead. It's just for fun. Now, I'm tempted to put the line at the number we see now, because I think some of that is cross-pollination from the federal level. But I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to go with 22% of the vote for the BC Conservatives. What say you?
So, traditionally, the two parties on the right should be able to get 40 to 45% of the vote, at least, right? So it more or less means that they're going to, the line means that they're going to split it again. Or one party will be, really it's the line that chooses which party is going to be first or second. I think, I can see this going both ways so easily, but I think that the United seem to have a lot of problems. Kevin Falcon does not seem to be that popular. The Conservative brand is getting a huge boost from Pierre Poilievre. And it seems like the BC Conservatives are more on Poilievre's kind of team.
Yes, they are.
So I wouldn't even rule out Poilievre campaigning with the BC Conservatives if it gets really bad for the BC United. So I'm going to choose the over, that the BC Conservatives will do better than 22%. Or was it 22.5?
It was 22. Well, it's a percentage point, so
Yeah,
if
right.
it's
So I will
exactly
choose the over.
22, we'll take a tie. You choose the over.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Prime ministers or a leader of the oppositions, it's rare that they actively campaign for a party in a provincial election. It can happen, definitely. It's just that Mr. Eby is extremely popular. The numbers show that he's one of the most popular premiers in the country. I know some people really dislike him in BC. Of course, that's the nature of the game. But there's also several seats when you look at the map, the federal map and the provincial map. There are some, conservative at the federal level and NDP at the provincial level. There are some orange-blue voters out there. And so if he pushes the balance too hard on Mr. Rostad and Mr. Rostad does badly, it looks bad for him. So it could happen. It's just, it doesn't seem very rational to me. I could see the BC... I mean, if you took a DeLorean and told me the BC Conservatives had 32% of the vote, or they had 17, I would believe both. So I do not know. And so you took the over. You know what? I think it's going to be over too, but I'm going to be different here. I'm going to be a contrarian. I'm going to say under 22%. I think they're going to underperform their polls.
Okay, so I had another one for the Conservatives, but that's because we just did one. I'm going to do one for the Greens.
Okay.
BC Greens have 2 seats. They're polling a little bit less, at least as we speak, than they did in the last election. The NDP also a little bit less, so maybe it evens out. But I'm going to put the bar for BC Green seats at 1.5. Oh.
Son of a gun. I thought you were going to say 2.5. That changes a lot of things. The thing is, yeah, the BC, the Greens in BC are a relatively good Green Party compared to others. They have been doing well for quite some time. It's just that the NDP is polling so high in the mid-40s. So 1.5, I got to go with the over. I am taking the over. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 seats for the Greens.
The thing is, for me, it's hard to find a third seat. And the boundaries are worst for Sonia Furstenau and her riding. And, I could see that if it looks obvious the NDP is going to win, that a lot of Green voters might feel liberated to vote Green, and so they do pretty well. But I'm going to say, because the NDP might run away with this a little bit and the boundary changes, I'm going to choose the under, and that the Greens end up winning 1 seat. So that I'll choose the under on that one.
Okay. All right. We'll have to talk about the Uniteds. They are the official opposition in BC, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? It's weird. They went from red to teal. And pink. No. I'm not sure where to... I think is, I know I want to do an over-under on the Uniteds. It's just I'm not sure where to put the line here. So the number of seats for the Uniteds, I'm going to put the line... It's such a low line. I'm going to put the line at 10.5. You took the under with the NDP at 69 seats.
Right.
So that means there are in your mind there are at least 24 seats left. One of them, according to you, I'm taking you to your word, Eric. So the Greens with 1, that's 23 seats left. Will the Uniteds get more than 10.5?
Well, see, the mistake I made with the NDP in Alberta was that I chose all the things that had them winning. So when they lost, I didn't make any points. So here, I'm going to hedge my bets so that I'm inconsistent across this. But I will say that I've more or less said the Conservatives are going to do really well, and the NDP aren't going to do as well, which means that the United should probably do under or over. Oh, I don't know. I guess you could take either one.
I'm proud of my line. If I make you struggle here, I'm proud of my line. 10.5.
Yeah. I'll choose the over. I'm going to say that my previous thing about the Conservatives doing well was BS. They end up collapsing. And the Uniteds end up back at the 25, 30 seats that they usually get. So I'll choose the over on that.
Wow. Okay. I have to say I'm surprised here. I'm surprised here because I see no data whatsoever that indicates that the Uniteds will do okay. I think they're in deep, deep trouble. Many voters don't know who they are. The leader has been performing poorly. The NDP could just win so many vote splits. I mean, the NDP could win 80 seats. It's not out of the question that they do. And so I'm taking an easy under. I think it could be as low as 4 or 5 seats for Uniteds. Again, maybe Kevin Fackel will reveal himself as a great campaigner. It's possible. We don't know that. But I'm taking under 10.5 seats for the Uniteds.
All right. So I think the ones I have left are variations of one we've already done. So do you want to move to Saskatchewan?
Let's move to Saskatchewan.
Okay. So Scott Moe going for his second election. He won in 2020, going for another win. And the Sask Party has been there now since 2007, so they're longest serving government right now in the country. The polls have suggested the NDP has closed the gap a little bit, but that the Sask Party still has usually around half of the vote. And because of how their vote is concentrated in the rural areas, they're in a really strong position to win another majority government. But we have seen that their support has come down, and sometimes they are in the 40s. And there's the Sask United Party that has a leader in the House because it's Nadine Wilson who crossed the floor. sometimes the Buffalo Party, the PCs, they get a chunk of the vote.
Yeah.
So if I put the Sask Party vote share at 50%, what would you do?
Last time it was 55. Was it 55% of the vote last time? Or it was
No,
over
I think
that?
they got 61.
Yeah. Okay.
They doubled the NDP, yeah.
I'm taking the over. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's an easy one for me. I mean, do you know something that I don't? Maybe I missed something. You are right there. There are 3 right of center parties. You forgot the Buffalo Party here. I mean, maybe they're not. I don't know how serious they are, but there are some supporters of the Buffalo parties that are really committed. The progressive conservatives, sure. The Sask United, sure. But it's hard to build an organization, and I'm taking the over here easily. I slam it. Boom. Slam the over. Are you taking the under?
I'm going to take the under just to be different.
Wow!
I'm going to say that these other parties, eat up too much of their support, and the Sask Party has what happened in the Lumsden-Morris by-election happen. Too many ridings in rural areas. They don't do well in Regina, Saskatoon, and they end up at 49, 48%. I don't know if I actually believe that's going to happen, but this is what I'm saying will happen. I'm taking the under on 50% for the Sask Party. I can't believe it.
Okay, all right. I know. So the thing is, again, sometimes we have our beliefs and we have our what we know and how we interpret, and sometimes somebody gets to you and is like, hang on, Eric knows what he's saying. Why is he putting that line so low? Is he trying to trap me here? And it's possible, but okay, all right.
We'll see.
The NDP seem to be doing better in the 2 cities. But the thing is, the 2 cities is still not that many seats. Right now, and of course, we are very early and we had very little polling data to work with. I have the NDP winning 24 seats, mostly all in the cities and less than a handful outside. So last time they won 13 seats. Is that correct? It was 13, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. Over under the number of NDP seats, and I think I have to move that line since you think the Sask Party will do less than 50%. I say 21.5 seats for the NDP. Wait, no, that's too low. That's too low. Let me move that. 23.5. 23.5 seats for the NDP.
I think, despite, again, what I said...
You're going to edge!
Under. Yeah, but the thing is, I think it's completely possible that the vote ends up being 48-42.
Yeah.
Which even I'm not sure if I have trouble seeing the NDP getting over 40. But it's just, it doesn't really work. They don't win the outer suburbs of Saskatoon, Regina, and so I'll take the under. But I had put the line. I had also done this, and I'd put the line at 20.5.
Okay.
So I would have taken the over on that one, but I'll take the under on 23.5.
Yeah, me too. I'll take the under too. Yeah, I was trying to trap you. You are hedging your bets here, and it could work for you, but it could also dramatically backfire, and next year is going to be also very much fun. So,
well, that's true. If you hedge wrong, then you'll just end up being wrong on everything, right? Okay, so how about this one? Again, it's the NDP.
Okay.
How many seats do they win outside of Regina, Saskatoon, and the 2 northern ridings that occupy like half the province, the far northern ridings? So outside Regina, outside Saskatoon, and outside of Cumberland and Athabasca. I'm going to put the line at 1.5.
$1.5. All right. So they could have one Moose Jaw. I think they could have one Prince Albert, although it's not going to be easy. But the thing is, the Sask Party is such a well-oiled machine. It's a dynasty, basically. And at some point, the dynasty will lose. but I see no indication that 2024 is it. That's a good line, my friend. I think they're gonna win one of the Prince Albert, probably the northern one. The Moose Jaw is very close. I'm gonna take the under.
Okay. I think I was going to do the under as well, but I think, let's say that I think they win one in Prince Albert and maybe one in Moose Jaw, or maybe both in Prince Albert. But
Wow.
if they win 3, then I think they have a shot at government. But I bet you they'll win 2. So I'm going to take the over in 1.5.
Wow. Okay. So you have the Sask Party below 50%, the NDP below
Just below
23 seats,
23.5, yeah.
but winning more than 2 seats outside of those that they usually win.
It's going to be a weird election. I'm just going to say it right now.
Realignment. Realignment.
People are going to go look back at this podcast and be like, wow,
What was Eric saying?
Eric's
Okay.
the Saskatchewan whisperer. He understood how that province was going to go.
I would like to go to Saskatchewan for that election. I don't think it's going to be possible because of my work schedule, but I would really like to go.
Road trip.
It could be. It could be a lot of fun. I'll see what it can do. It's just that with my schedule, it's tough. But anyway, do you want to move on to New Brunswick, my friend, or do
Yeah,
you have
let's
more
do
on
that.
Saskatchewan? Are we done?
I think we've done enough of that. Let's do New Brunswick.
Okay. Why don't you go
so-
first?
Set the context. Blaine Higgs has been in power since 2018. He had a minority government then. He won a majority in 2020. He has been musing about an early election for months. It's scheduled to be next fall. Who knows if it'll be actually in the fall? Maybe it'll just be in the spring. The polls are suggesting the Liberals have a lead, but the geography doesn't really work out very well for them. Why don't you choose the first line for New Brunswick?
Well, I was going to be have a little fun here. So the election is scheduled for October 21st. Over under on the date of the election. And I'm putting the line at July 1st. It was rumored to be.
You know, I would like a spring election.
Early.
A spring election would be nice because we got BC and Saskatchewan also in the fall, and we got the U.S. election in the fall, which I'm not sure how much we'll talk about, but it's still going to cause a lot of.
Oh, it
distraction.
is. Yeah, absolutely. And for those listening, right now, as scheduled, October 19th, BC, October 21st, New Brunswick, October 28th, Saskatchewan. So it's a tough 10 days ahead in October. Yeah.
Holy jeez, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's gonna be.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know?
It's gonna be
Okay.
a
Yeah.
tough week and a half. And then the U.S. election must be like on the 2nd or 4th or something
Yep.
like that, right? So
Yeah, early November. Yeah.
boy. All right. So for that, I'm going to hope for a spring. I'm going to put the energy out there, and I'm going to take the under, I guess. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
we use
The
over-under in time,
the-
but
the
I'm going to choose the
before, yeah.
before. Yeah.
I
I'm gonna
agree.
choose the before.
Yeah. I choose.
Yeah. I think that the budget is just a moment to just... it feels like Blaine Higgs wants to go into an election, so I don't know. Why would he wait after the budget?
It's still strange that we have fixed election dates laws. I know they are loose.
Fixed-ish.
Fixed-ish, yeah, they are loose because you can still do it. It's just that there's a political price to pay. But those who are really into Blaine Higgs and vote PC whatever, they won't mind if there's an early election, so you won't have much of a price to pay. And the PCs can lose the popular vote by 5 or 6 points and still win the election. I'm gonna
Maybe more.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the before too. I think it's gonna be in the spring. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And you know what? Actually, the fact that they've been talking about an early election for so long almost sets it up that if he does it in the spring, it won't be as egregious because everybody will have known it was kind of coming, right? Because all the other parties have been getting ready.
That's
So
right.
it's not like Higgs, to his credit, I suppose, has signaled that he wanted to have an early election. So if you were the Green or the Liberals and you were just not getting ready for it, then that's at that point it's on you, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure about this one. It's a line for the PCs. How many seats they will win. So to win a majority, you need 25. They won 22 seats in 2018.
27, 4 years, 2 years later. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if I put the line at 22.5?
I thought you were going to go with 24.5, like a boring line. Basically, are the PCs going to win? So 22.5, it's
You could not win the election with 23 seats, right? You could have a 23-24 and 2 seats for the Greens, and there you go.
There's the new map in New Brunswick that I have switched it on my site, so I do have the new map. I didn't see many changes that are important for either the Liberals or the Conservatives. I saw a big change for the Greens, of course. The Fredericton ridings were just butchered, which could work for the Greens or against the Greens, depending on how well they do.
Yeah.
So 22.5 for the Higgs PC. I'm taking the over. Yep. I'm not sure they're going to win the election.
How much over?
Well, here's the thing. In 2018, it was basically one seat that separated the Liberals and the PCs, and because the alliance had one more seat than the Greens, there was a coalition. It was one seat. Poor Monsieur Galland. They deserve better, I think, but won the popular vote by 6 points. 6 points, man. The map for the PC is still good. The polls that we have, Madame Susan Holt seems to be appreciated by Liberals, and the Liberals could do well. But I could see the election going like 40% Liberals and 35% PCs, and the PCs still win. So I'm taking the over.
Okay. I'm going to choose the under because I'm going to assume that the underlying numbers that we see for Blaine Higgs haven't been very good. His approval ratings aren't very good. His government satisfaction ratings aren't terrific. So I'm going to say that in the election campaign, that starts to become a problem. New Brunswickers are wondering whether they want to have Higgs in power for 9 years in total, or I guess it would be 10 years, I guess, in an election. And that the winds kind of turn and the Liberals end up winning the election. So again, I'm not saying this is what is going to happen, but I'm saying this is why I'm choosing the under for the PCs at 22.5. And it would mean a change of government in New Brunswick, so we'll see.
Okay. Do you have more, or?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 more I want to do.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if you have. Okay.
Do I go first?
Oh, I
do.
Okay, yeah, 22.5 was mine. Okay, so yeah, you go next.
The vote share of the New Brunswick NDP. We've had questions from our members about this. Why does the NDP doesn't go up in your projection? And I say, well, because they're not really a serious party in New Brunswick. I'm sorry, I apologize if you're an NDPer from New Brunswick. You had an interim leader last time around. You didn't have a full slate of candidates. And even though they will still be there in the election, I have seen no indication that it has changed. Last election, I believe they had 2.5% of the vote.
I think it was less. I think it was 1.7.
Was it less? Oh, I should have pulled this up before, but I don't see them doing as well as some many polls have been showing. So I want to put the line on their vote share. So let me just for context, let me just put it there. Okay, so New Democratic, they had they had 1.7% of the vote, but I missed it. Where they were running, they averaged 2.5. That's why I was.
That's not good either.
No, that's not good. So 1.7% for the NDP last time in 2020. I will put the line at exactly that number, 1.7.
Oh.
It was 1.66. Now I'm putting 1.7% for the NDP. The vote share.
Growth.
Yeah.
I think that the NDP was in really bad shape last time. Their interim leader was a very young man.
Yep.
And he became the permanent leader because they didn't have anybody else in place because it was an early election. They couldn't get the candidates in place. So I'm going to guess that they are a little bit better organized this time. Maybe they run a nearly full slate, or at least a little bit more. Their leader has been in place for a little bit longer, Alex White, even though he as well started as an interim and then got the job because no one else wanted it. So I'm not thinking that they're jumping to 8. I'm thinking they might be able to get to 2, but I'm gonna take the over on 1.7 for the NDP.
To be contrarian, because I think all the points that you just made were valid. If this becomes an election to oust Mr. Higgs, I think there could be bleeding from the NDP, even though there's not that much to bleed. I'm going to take the under, I say in the 1.4, 1.5 range. We're really into the decimals here on the numbers, so but yeah. I'm going to take the under.
Okay, I'm going to make it even more depressing. We're going to talk about the People's Alliance vote share. So this party had won 2 seats last time. Chris Austin and Michelle Conroy were the 2 MLAs. They crossed the floor to the PCs, joined the government, and the party was, I think, almost officially deregistered.
Yeah, it was. I think it was deregistered and was re-registered.
They started the process or something like that. Yeah, and so a former MLA who had won in 2018 was defeated in 2020, Rick Desaulniers, or I'm not sure how he pronounced it, Desaulniers or whatever. He is the interim, or the leader, I guess, but the party seems to be non-existent. It does 1 or 2% in the polls. I'm going to put the line for the People's Alliance share of the vote at 1%.
Wow. So you think the People's Alliance will go below the NDP?
I'm saying it could happen. I'm wondering if it will. I'm asking you.
I'm glad you said this one, because I do not know where this will end up. A year ago I would have told you, okay, the People's Alliance is basically they're gone. They won't exist anymore. 1% is really low though, so I'm gonna take. Maybe it's a trap. They could be deregistered this year and say we'll just join the PC. Okay, I'm gonna take the over 1% for the People's Alliance.
Okay, I'm
going out on a
under.
limb here.
I think that I'm taking the under. I'm thinking we've seen this with a couple other times with these further right parties, and they make some noise and then they end up getting 0.3% of the vote. Like no one's bothering voting for these parties because there's no real point anymore. So I'm going to say that's going to happen with the People's Alliance, in that they will effectively be done after this election, just like the Confederation of Regions party back in the past. A flame that burns very brightly, but for a very short amount of time. Very sad for the People's Alliance.
Okay. I have 2 more. Then New Brunswick is kind of fun, right? For a smallish province, there's many. Okay.
I think it's gonna be a good one.
Do you have anything on the Liberals? Because I have one, but maybe I don't want to take away your picks. But
I have one for the Greens and not one for the Liberals. No.
Okay, so I'll do one for the Liberals. Okay, vote share for the Liberals. How will Susan Holt do? I'm not doing seats. We've already covered that with the PCs. I think that's enough. Vote share for Susan Holt Liberals. Just to context for our listeners, of course, the latest polls have been pretty good for the Liberals. Narrative research, I know it's only narrative research. It's the Atlantic poster, but that they always have small samples and they don't poll during elections. Yeah. So, but it's all we have, right? In the past year, their lowest poll was 34, and their highest poll, which was the most recent, was 41% for the Liberals. I'm setting the line. Popular vote share for Susan Holt at 39%.
Ooh. Because I was thinking in my head, I for New Brunswick, I'm going to be consistent.
Oh.
So I have the PCs losing, and despite the People's Alliance disappearing. And the NDP, I said, would get 2% maybe, so I don't think that's eating into anybody's vote. But 39. What did Gallant get in 2018? He got like 38 point something, right?
I'm going to pull this up for you. I think it was 38. Monsieur Gallant had 37.8.
Okay. Geez, could she get 39? I'm going to say that she will. So I'm going to say the Liberals will get over 39. I don't know if it'll be a lot over 39, but I'm going to take the over.
Okay, I'm taking the under. I think the Liberals will do well, but it's, the PCs have a strong brand. The fact that Mr. Higgs has been one of the least popular premiers in the country for many years now, and the PCs are still there, I don't think the province is... as switch. I think, in Acadia, of course, the Liberals will do well. But 39%, I think, is a fair line. I think it's going to be just under.
Okay. I think this is going to be the make or break section of the contest. This is where we'll separate the men from the boys. Okay, we do one more on the Greens. So they won 3 in 2022, or 2020, sorry. So they have 2 seats in sort of the southeast, Kent North, I think it is, and Tonchamar Memricock, anyway. And then the Fredericton South seat that David Kuhn has. So they've chopped up Fredericton South. The Green vote has been kind of exploded across 3 different ridings, so it's not really clear how it's going to work. The other 2 ridings, there could be, one of them seems a bit safer. We'll see with the other one. But I'm going to put the line for Green seats, because we haven't seen much strength in the polls from them, at 2.5.
They're better during campaigns than outside campaigns, the New Brunswick Greens. 2.5. If they get under, it'll be a tough one. I think they're going to do better than we think in Fredericton. I think they could sweep, but not sweep, but they could win the seats that formerly were David Kuhn's. So I'm going to take the over. I think they could get as much as 4.
Okay.
As many as 4, sorry.
I'll take the under.
Oh.
So the Tonchamar seat, the new boundaries seem to make it a better seat for the Greens, so I think they hold that. I think the fact that the Liberals are probably going to be doing better, maybe contesting for government, that they'll be able to win the Kent seat, and that I think that Kuhn will be able to win his seat, that because he's the leader, people will move over. But I think that'll be it. So I'm going to take the under because I'm going to put the Greens at probably winning 2 seats this far out.
Okay.
So there we go.
All right. Are we done with
more
New
from New
Brunswick?
Brunswick? Or?
No, I'm done here.
Okay, so now we're going to move to the sort of the wild card section about anything. It can be politics elsewhere in the country. It can be about other things. I'm going to do one first. So I asked on the Discord, and if you're not a member of the Discord, you can join the Numbers Patreon at thenumberspod.ca. You can ask us our questions that we answer every week on the mailbag, and you get early access to the episodes. If you were a member, you could be listening to this on Thursday rather than Friday.
That's right.
That's right. I mean, that's worth the $5 a month right there.
Absolutely.
So I got this one from a Sylvan librarian. I thought it was good, so I'm going to do it. 1.5. House of the Commons speakers in the next year. Greg Fergus is currently in the job.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a tough time for him. He was replacing Anthony Rota, who left earlier this year. So we're already at 2 for 2023. Yeah. Will we reach at least 2 in 2024?
Just to make sure that this starts January 1st, right? If Monsieur Fergus resigns before the new year. Okay, so 1.5. We could also have an election in 2024. As I said, it could be a dice roll, so there are good chances that we would change speaker. I'm taking the over. That's a good one.
Thank you for
the
odds.
Yeah, I'm taking the over.
I kind of want to as well, but I'm going to say that he ends up hanging on. That the Liberals and the NDP keep him in the job, and so he gets to stay. But I thought that was a good one from Sylvan Librarian, so thank you very much. All right, Philip, what do you got?
We haven't talked about Ontario, and I know there's no elections in Ontario, but we should talk about it. So there was a poll just earlier this week. Of course, if you listen to this, it was just before Christmas. Abacus Data had a poll that showed the PC is at 39 and the Liberals, the OLP, at 27, with Bonnie Crombie, of course, and the ONDP at 24. So there's a small Crombie bump, but very small, and it doesn't seem that she put a dent in PC support. But it's still very early, and we know that Ontarians don't pay much attention to their provincial politics. So what will be the best poll from recognized pollsters for the OLP? You ready? I'm setting the line at 33.5.
I think I'll take the over.
I'll take the over.
I think we'll see a couple of polls with the Liberals in the mid-30s. I do wonder, because, we're talking about New Brunswick, but I do wonder if the kind of troubles that Justin Trudeau's having are going to make it harder for provincial Liberal parties to score well. But I think at one point during the year that I will take the over on that the Liberals will end up being a lot closer to the PCs than they've been for the last little while.
Okay, I'm taking the under. I don't think it will happen this year. The Main Street Research had a poll right after the OLP campaign that had the Miss Crombie at 34. It's possible that it goes over that at some point, but I'm taking the odds that during 2024 it won't happen. Okay.
All right, let's stick to Ontario then. Bonnie Crombie, does she win a seat in 2024?
Oh. No, I don't. I don't know the answer. I'm guessing the answer is no. There would have to be resignation. It would have to be in the Peel region, I think. And I don't think so. No.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, that they get one of their MPPs to step aside in a relatively safe riding in Toronto or something, and she gets herself a seat there. So we'll see what happens. All right, what do you got?
Manitoba. So, of course, Manitoba just had an election, and we saw that Monsieur Canoe is having it's a honeymoon. So, in the next quarterly provincial poll, not provincial poll, but the premier appreciation, right? We saw that Monsieur
February, March.
That's right. So mid-February, published usually in March. So Mr. Canoe was at 57% approval rating in the Angus Reid poll. I'm going to put the line here. Appreciation for Mr. Canoe in the next Angus Reid quarterly poll. I'm going to put the line at 54%. Well, let's go with a decimal. So 53.5%. So will the honeymoon for Mr. Canoe last through the first part of the winter?
I'm going to take the over, and I actually am going to do a bonus guess and say that it ends up being higher than 57.
Oh, okay. Then my line was not good. I agree it's going to be higher than 53.5. Not sure it's going to go over 60, but okay, let's agree that it's going to be... The honeymoon should last at least 6 months, I think. So yeah, I agree. Let's go with the over.
Okay, I always do this one, and it requires a little bit of thinking.
Okay.
So the number of premiers who will be defeated or resign, and I'm going to put it as announce it, so it counts as long as they announce. So if they, if they stay on as an interim, whatever, but they announce or they defeat or they are defeated in 2024, and I'm going to put the line at 1.5.
Oh, that's low. Okay. So we're not counting federal here, just premiers.
Premiers,
okay.
Provincial premiers.
Okay, so you said Mr. Higgs was going to lose, so that's one for you, unless you hedge again. BC and Saskatchewan, 1.5. Mr. Houston is in a saddle. Miss Smith is not going anywhere. Ford is not going anywhere. Legault. Legault should be fine. 1.5 is a low bar, but King is okay. Just won an election. Taking the under. I see very little movement on the provincial side in 2024 unless there's a dramatic sickness or something. But no, I'm taking the under.
Yeah, see, I'm going to also take the under because I've in the past said that the odds are someone resigns due to health or something like that. But I'm going to say that if someone does resign due to a health reason or a personal reason or something like that, it'll offset Higgs not losing maybe. So I'm going to take the under. I bet you it'll still be one though. I think that it'll still be at least one. So yeah.
All right, I have this one. I think I mentioned it on our last show. So, during 2024, federal and provincial combine, number of Greens elected in their respective legislature or parliament.
Oh.
So, how many Greens will win, basically? I'm excluding the territories. I don't think there's green parties, but no territories. Okay. I'm putting the line. So there shouldn't be in Saskatchewan. Come on. Putting the line at 5.5.
Ooh, that's high. I took that the Greens would win 2 in New Brunswick, and I said they would win 1 in British Columbia.
That's right. It's too high. It's too high. It's too high. You're right. It's too high. Okay, hang on. 4.5.
4.5.
You're right.
You're right. I can imagine the Greens winning 3 or 4 in New Brunswick, and it's possible they could win 2 or 3 in BC. But I think the context isn't great for them, so I think I'll still take the under. I think I'll still take the under for 4.5 Green seats, probably in BC and New Brunswick.
Taking the over, and if my friend, there's a federal election, you are boned because the Greens should win at least 2 in the federal election, and then I would win this. Okay.
All right.
Do you have something else?
Playing the odds. Okay, that's good. I have one more that's political, and then I have one that isn't.
Okay.
So there is a U.S. election in 2024. This is not an American political podcast, but the vote share for the winning presidential candidate. If I put it at 50%, what do you say? Biden did get over 50%.
Yeah, yes, he did, but it really was. I mean, basically, is that crazy Kennedy is going to get a significant vote share that will make. God, I don't know. Yeah, he's crazy enough to go all the way. Because the truth and the truth and reason doesn't seem to be working at all with him. I saw some interviews with him. It just doesn't make sense. He could get 5-6%, and then suddenly it's almost okay. So I'm taking the under.
There have been some polls that have him in the teens.
Yeah.
Like he might actually be able to poll high enough to get invited to the debates.
Yeah.
Trump has always not, for all of his electoral reputation, he's actually lost quite a lot and doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that he can get over 45% of the popular vote, but I do think that Biden is going to drop. And as you said, I think Robert Kennedy could end up getting a decent amount. So I'm also going to take the under, which I think just adds to the chaos and the bad feelings after the next U.S. election, regardless of who wins.
Okay. I'm done
On that
with...
cheery note, what do you got for the wilder wild cards? You got anything?
I'm done with politics. I have a hockey question, but do you want to switch to hockey? These don't count.
Yeah, I also have one too.
Yeah, these don't.
Well, they
really
count if we end up tied, I think.
Okay, this is a tiebreaker. Okay.
They count if I win them.
Okay. Well, even last year wouldn't have helped you. Oh, boom. Okay.
Oh.
Last year I asked you whether the Leafs would win a round, and they did, and then they completely, crapped the bed with Florida. So instead of going with the Leafs, because the Leafs are really good this year, they have such a great team, but I'm not sure they're built for the playoffs. Number of playoff wins. Last year they won 5 games, 4 against Tampa, and 1 against Florida. 5.5 playoff wins for the Maple Leafs.
I'm going to take the under. I think that they're not. I think they're going to do badly.
Yeah, me too. Okay, I'll take the under too. I mean, thing is, it could be. It's too early to tell, but it could very well be a rematch of Toronto, Florida. Toronto is the better team. It's just that that Florida team can. They were the better team against the Leafs last year. So I'll take the under. 5.5 was too high. Okay.
I also have an NHL hockey one. So the number of Canadian teams that will make the playoffs. Right now, and as the time you're listening to this, maybe things have changed a little bit, but Toronto, Winnipeg, and Vancouver seem to be in a decent place to make the playoffs. And then, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, bubble teams, Ottawa seems to have... I don't know what's going on with Ottawa. I'm going to put the line at 3.5.
The thing is, the Canucks have surprised. I don't watch the games, all the games, but I follow the standings, I follow the highlights. The Canucks are much better than I expected. Can they keep that up? They might have enough points already in the bank. So I'll take the Canucks and the Leafs for sure. The Jets lost to the Habs. Come on, man, you don't do that if you're a serious team. But they are in a weaker division. So the line is 3.5. Is that right?
Yeah.
The Edmonton Oilers, they fired the coach, I think it was 7 in a row. Now they just lost a couple. I can't believe a team like the Oilers could make that. So I'm taking the over. I think the Oilers will make it.
Okay. All right. I'll also take the over.
Oh, okay.
I bet you there'll be a Cinderella story. The Canadians will make the Stanley Cup as well.
That's not happening.
We'll get the first round pick, first overall pick, because I don't know what the heck's going on in Ottawa.
All right. Okay.
I'm done. Do you have anything left?
Well, the thing is, I have a few for Quebec, but we're going to keep this for les chiffres en français.
Yes.
We're do over-under. We won't overlap much between the two. Because I don't want Eric to hedge his bets, say one thing in French and say one thing in English, because that would be, he could do it. He's,
I mean, this is a Canadian political podcast. That would be fair. That's how it works, right?
But I have a few for Quebec. I'm going to keep them for our French podcast, Les Chiffres, which I, of course, encourage you to listen to if you want to, either if you speak French or if you want to practice your French. So I think that's done, Eric. How confident are you, considering that I crushed you last year? How confident are you in this one?
And because of the fact that you're boasting about it, now I'm feeling better. I feel like I'm gonna, poetic justice will come back. And you know what? We say that we play for bragging rights.
Yeah.
I think we should go to the Discord. We should go to the Patreon members and ask them to have some sort of stakes, something that the loser has to do.
Okay.
Next year. Nothing too embarrassing.
Make me wear a Leafs jersey during an episode. Maybe do we have Leafs fans? I don't know. We don't talk much about hockey. There's a hockey sub in our Discord, but we could. And also, we will list all the over unders, make them available to our members, and have them vote. What do they think, over or under? And perhaps they'll agree with us. Perhaps they won't, and maybe they'll even beat us.
We can see who among the Patreon, the Discord members does the best. So we'll post that up there as well, so people can play along with us. And if they beat us, then they get to take our jobs. I think that's how it works.
All right. Merci beaucoup, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to our listeners. And I hope that you have a really great 2024. There'll be lots of fun stuff that we're going to chat about, but just I'm wishing everybody all the best and health and happiness for them and their families for 2024. And the same to you, Philippe. We've launched this podcast this year. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to the next 12 months too.
Oh, absolutely. Merci beaucoup, Eric. And thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to our members who are supporting us. We really like this project, and it could not happen without people who are supporting us, so we appreciate it. Merci beaucoup.